Hello, this is Brianne Jones
and Emily Oborn,
and we will be just talking about wall coverings. For thousands of years, some type of covering other than paint has been used on walls. Originally, most wall coverings were used to prevent air filtration and to help keep a room warmer. Rugs and tapestries are examples of wall coverings that were used to warm the interior and serve as decorative purposes. Fabrics were tacked to the walls of a room, but in the early times, due to its high cost, only wealthy people could afford to use fabrics in this manner. Eventually, an inexpensive substitute for fabric became wallpaper.
Okay, so to start off, a bolt is a roll of fabric or wall covering of a given length. So we have single roll and double roll. Single roll is pretty self-explanatory. Double roll is double a single roll. So this gives you 5 times more lineal yardage, which means that there will be less waste because you are having to cut little strips, and it's easier to install this way.
Wallpaper is measured by the single roll, but is sold by the double or the triple roll, and this helps reduce the amount of waste when hanging versus a single roll.
Okay.
I don't really know why this is on our vocabulary list, but it is.
Just for a review, this is what lap joint and butt joint looks like.
We've been tested on this, and we should all know this anyway, so.
Yeah. Okay, so next, here's some definitions. Wall covering, people are usually afraid to use it because it won't come off the wall, and it's just hard to remove, but they now have strippable wallpaper, which is dry stripped. There's minimal residue, and it's a wall covering that has minimal amount of adhesive and residue, and it doesn't destroy or damage the wall surface. And then we have peelable, which is pretty self-explanatory. It just peels right off the wall. And then washable. Wall coverings are now very washable with mild soap, water, and a sponge.
Okay, so some wallpapers, like she was saying, are washable or scrubbable. Washable wall coverings can be cleaned occasionally using a sponge damped with clean water. Wallpapers that have a protective vinyl coating finish are usually washable. Scrubbable wall coverings can be washed repeatedly using soap and water. Solid vinyl and fabric-backed wall coverings are durable and scrubbable, making them ideal choice for kitchens, baths, and high-traffic areas. So in the report, it talks about the different types of wall coverings and which ones you can wash with water and which ones you cannot. So just look to the report for more information.
All right, next we have some adhesive. So there's pre-pasted, which means that the adhesive is already on the back of the wallpaper. And there's also vinyl coated, and vinyl coating is either a liquid or vinyl or a flexible film applied to a wall covering backing material, and this just gives the wall covering durability and strength. Okay, I'm going to give you some more definitions. So there's different kinds of paste. There's a cellulose paste, which is a white powdered adhesive, and it's mixed with cold water on the job and can be used with a variety of lightweight materials, and it's not suitable for wall coverings that require more holding power. So then we have wheat paste, which is a liquid adhesive made from starch and water, or like flour and water. It's what you would use for paper mache. And then a vinyl coating is either a liquid vinyl or a flexible film applied to the wall covering, and it just, it gives it more durability and strength like we talked about before.
Okay, so cellulose paste you would use for porous paper, grass cloth, and silk. For wheat paste, you would use paper, grass cloth, and also silks. For vinyl, you would use vinyl paste for vinyl, foils, and heavier materials. Okay, for measurement and wall prep. To start out with, you need to make sure you're measuring in inches to find the square footage. And it is very important that when you're measuring and determining how much wall covering is needed, that you are very accurate. It's important that you always use a steel measuring tape whenever you're measuring. And like I said, you measure in inches to find the square footage depending on the method of estimating the amount of wall covering needed. Record the measurements width first. If there are large portions of the wall that will not be covered with the wallpaper, like fireplaces, doors, and windows, just make sure you subtract the area that they will cover. There are 3 different methods of estimating the amount of wall covering or rollage needed, and they are consulting manufacturer's chart, strip method, and square footage. For the manufacturer's charts, it's the simplest and easiest method of estimating the amount needed. Convenient charts can be found on some wallpaper books, and most charts are based on a 30 square foot coverage per single roll of wall covering. An average American made wall covering covers 36 square feet. And there's more information in the report on each of these methods, but I'm just going to cover them a little bit. Strip method, it is used mainly by professional wallpaper hangers in rooms with chopped up wall spaces or cathedral ceilings in large commercial installations. The strip method requires literally counting the actual strips to be used in any situation. It is much more difficult for to use and not recommended as a common practice. The next one is square footage, and it's the last and most common method, and it's a process that will work for almost any wall surface to be covered by wall coverings. First, the square footage is found for the room. Subtract any openings for doors, windows, and fireplaces, and then after finding the square footage of the interior application, the number of rolls needed for the application needs to be determined. So that is the 3 types of measurement. So make sure that whenever you're prepping the wall, you need to wash the wall to remove any dirt and dust. I've heard of people power washing their walls, and then make sure it is dry before you apply any other before you try to apply adhesive or any type of wall covering.
That way the adhesive will stick and your wallpaper will last longer.
Okay, for pricing, there is a huge variety of product that ranges from papers to cementous panels. Pricing can be anywhere from about $20 to $200 per double roll. So there's a huge gap of pricing, so it just depends on what brands you're getting and how high-end they are, I guess. Something to watch for in pricing is whether it is an American roll or a Euro roll because they are priced at the same they're priced the same, but the Euro roll is significantly smaller. I can't talk today, obviously. Part of the cost of the wall covering is the installation. So even though, say you're getting a wall covering that costs about $25 per roll, you're going to have to consider the installation cost for that because it's a huge part of it. Labor is charged per square foot. So when if you decide that you want someone to come in and install it for you, you are charged by the square foot. For example, the labor cost may be 50 cents per square foot or $18 per single roll. The labor charges for vinyl and foils are always higher than those for standard wall coverings. Labor for installing wood veneers can run as high as $3 to $4 a square foot because of the work involved. They're kind of hard to install.